Hello, my name is Kalicki and this is my A2 Media Advanced Portfolio Evaluation. This year I decided to further my understanding of the print medium through planning, producing and distributing a regional magazine. This brief appealed to me as I enjoyed making a music magazine at AS and for the National Shine competition, and I wanted to further my skills in this area. I also like the idea of getting to create a website for one of my ancillary tasks, as this is an area I particularly enjoy. For my other ancillary task, I chose to create a billboard as I thought this would be an interesting way to learn more about creating print adverts. As the media theorist John Frisk describes, genre conventions are attempts to structure some order into the wider range of texts and meanings that circulate in our culture for both the convenience of both producers and consumers. In other words, to ensure your target audience can recognise and categorise your product, that it is important to use some of the codes and conventions they will expect to see. However, if you were simply to copy other products on the market, yours would not stand out and would be unlikely to attract an audience, which means you should, as the theorist Bentley put in 1997, creatively rearrange the old to create the new. Throughout all stages of my planning, production and post-production, I have continuously referred to the conventions followed by professional regional magazines, Cornwall Today and Coast, but I have also had a look for ideas on lifestyle and music magazines pitched at 15 to 24-year-olds, as my target audience is significantly younger than your average Cornwall Today and Coast reader, which meant simply following those conventions would not have represented my audience successfully. The first thing I developed was my masthead. I called my magazine Spindrift, as this was an original coastal term that connoted the genre and fitted with the Cornish regional magazine conventions, as the semantic field connoted the genre. However, having looked at the typography used on traditional regional magazines, I immediately knew that the following font style conventions would not work for my younger target audience, so I set about researching masthead font styles on magazines they would be drawn to, like Empire, GQ, Enemy and Vogue, and borrowed convention ideas from these. My final font style fitted the tone of my magazine, as it can be seen as informal and potentially fun. This works for my target audience because, as Hebdige said in 1998, youth is fun, implying that young people find anything which could be seen as fun as attractive. Another thing that makes my masthead stand out from competitors and breaks convention slightly is my colour choices. I elected to follow a sea theme by using blue, white and black, but use brighter, bolder colours than you would see on magazines like Cornwall Today and Coast to reinforce the idea that this magazine was for younger readers. I also used the convention set by professional magazines when it came down to deciding the other font styles which I wanted to use. I felt that this was an important thing to do because I needed to find a font that I knew would appeal to my target audience, so I looked at magazines which were targeted towards a younger target audience of a similar class and ethnicity to the ones which I wanted to target. After I had completed my masthead design and got feedback from my audience via SurveyMonkey confirming they liked it, I moved on to developing my colour palette. I decided to use the masthead colours as the basis for my colour palette, as it worked for a regional magazine with coastal roots, but decided to also introduce the colour yellow, as I felt yellow is a perfect colour for representing my target audience due to its connotations. The colour yellow can be used to connote happiness and energy, which are two themes which are key to a young target audience like the one I am trying to target. I can infer this because of Dick Hebdige's 1998 theory, youth as fun, suggesting that young people are attracted to anything which they can see as fun and entertaining. I follow professional regional magazine conventions by keeping this colour palette across all of my products. Even though my masthead and colour palette broke some conventions of regional magazines, I did stick to other conventions, as I agree with Frisk's theory concerning the fact that my audience would need to be able to recognise the genre of my product through my use of common conventions. One of the main ways I followed existing regional magazines on my cover is through my layout, as I as I have a main coastal image covering the page with the teasers positioned to the side. I chose to do this because I feel that it made the cover look less cluttered and more simplistic, which the image of the cover of my magazine also follows conventions set by professional publications such as Coast magazine or Cornwall Today. This is because the image is a medium action shot of a surfer on a Cornish wave on a sunny day. The image captures the natural beauty of Cornwall, and this follows the conventions I observed on all local regional magazines for this area. I feel that this is an important convention to follow in a regional magazine because it gives the audience an idea about the area you are covering and fits Higson's regional identity theory, as it makes the target audience feel patriotic towards the magazine in their region. It could be argued my image breaks conventionally slightly, as often people are not featured simply landscapes. I chose to break this convention in order to show my target audience that this would be a magazine that would represent them. In other words, I put a young male surfer on my cover as I thought seeing people of a similar age to themselves on the cover would help my target audience relate to the content and not feel alienated from the magazine. Also, it is an exciting image my audience will relate to because, as Stanley Hall said in 1904, youths need excitement. My Lexis and teasers on my cover and contents page to some extent follow regional magazine conventions, as I have used Cornish place names. However, I have tried to keep my language more informal to represent my younger target audience, and this breaks conventions of traditional regional magazines slightly. With the cover, another convention which I felt was important for me to follow was the inclusion of a barcode somewhere on the magazine, because this feature is important when it comes to selling my magazine, and this is something which all retailers use in order to make the purchase of any goods as simple as possible. I made my barcode a similar size to that used on professionally made publications because this seemed to make the cover look less busy and more stylish. I also introduced a price, date, issue number and my web address, as I had observed all professional magazines also included this information. Like on professional covers, I kept these things smaller than the other text on the cover, as they are not major selling points. With my content page layout, I have tried something really modern and creative that breaks some of the typical conventions of a regional magazine. I positioned an image as my background, then added another layer which I filled completely in white before using a combination of Photoshop and Illustrator to remove sections and letters from the white layer, revealing aspects of the image behind. I then added my page numbers and content in a small font in InDesign. I think this layout comes across as fun and rebellious and will then consequently appeal to my target audience. What I particularly like about my content is the way the word content shows the image through the letters. This gives the text a fun edge to it and gives it a variety of different colours. As Hebdish said in 1998, representing youth as fun works when selling a product to a young market, as they are drawn to something that looks entertaining and fun. The image used on the contents page, which lies behind the white layer, follows conventions set by real media text and is another picturesque Cornish scene my target audience can relate to, in the sense of a shared national identity which fits into Higson's theory. When it came to the colours used on my contents page, I followed the convention set by professional publications, as I have tried to continue a colour scheme from my cover through to my contents page. I feel this makes it look more professional and more aesthetically pleasing for my target audience. I chose to colour match the blue for the background colour for the layer mask to a shade of blue used in the masthead. My double page spread, I followed conventions set by professional magazines such as Cornwall Today and Coast magazine in terms of layout, as I have used a medium action shot of a surfer on the right hand side of my double. Have also included a medium long shot of a picturesque beach as a small image on the left hand side below my first text column. Have used a large eye-catching title that goes across both pages and have included page numbers. The subject matter of my article also follows conventions, as it is about things that you can do in Cornwall. However, my mode of address and lexis differs slightly from existing regional magazines, as it is more informal to match the needs of my target audience. I think that the most eye-catching thing about my double page spread is the way I have used the title text part of the imagery to create a more youthful, creative feel. This breaks conventions of regional magazines I have looked at, but works well for my target audience who will want to see something fresh and new, match the needs of my target audience. My billboard follows some of the conventions of billboards I saw for Cornwall Today and Coast magazine, as I have used a picturesque scene of the popular tourist spot Tintagel Castle as the main image. I have included an image of my product and slogan. However, my product name appears to be splashing out of the sea, and this breaks convention slightly as it is more creative and fun than existing billboards I looked at. I think the water splash text that I created using Photoshop and Illustrator will be appealing to my target audience as they fit Hebdish's youth as fun stereotype. I made the slogan link to this text as I put the latest magazine to make a splash. With my website, I followed as many common conventions as I could from Cornwall Today and Coast magazine whilst maintaining a clean, trendy, easy to use feel to the site that would engage my younger target audience. Conventions I followed included having a lot of images on the home page from around the region. However, I went against some of the conventions by including a scrolling slider of images, which isn't something which a lot of regional lifestyle magazines appear to do. I chose to do this because I feel that it would make the magazine appear more fun, which would be important at relating my magazine to a young target audience. Another convention I followed was having links to news, features, what's on and a contacts page. I also followed the conventions of keeping the masthead style from the magazine. This is something which a lot of regional lifestyle magazines appear to do with their website, including Coast magazine and Cornwall Today magazine. I also kept the same colour palette and lexis style on my website as on the magazine because this was another convention I had seen between real products.